Welcome. Welcome, welcome. It's going to be a nice quick Easter afternoon stream before I head off to Easter service. So I wanted to get a couple things going. Let's kill iTunes. We can probably kill Twitter now. Great. So today's the day. Today is the day. We've been doing this. That's the wrong code base. It's pretty great log messages though. So today's the day. We've been doing this thing for 2 weeks. And when I started, I didn't realize that 2 weeks would be Easter Sunday, but here we are, and we're going to finish it up today. And that's okay, because I'm excited. We got a little bit left to do. I'm going to fire this guy up. Let me get him on screen and show you what we have so far in the app. All right, so we've got the iPad. That's great. So there we go. Now make him a little bit smaller, and I'll show you the app. So we've been working on this app for 2 weeks, 100% on stream and 100% open source. You can get the code. It should be in the description. And there's our QuickTime. So here's our game. We have boards and stuff that you can drag around. All kinds of really great stuff. You can attach balloons to things. You can attach wheels to things. We have pistons, which do crazy stuff. You hit the go button, and there we go. We have our little contraption. So the goal of the game, it's really just kind of like a sandbox, make interesting contraption game. So it uses a little 2D physics, so you can toss stuff around. Yesterday we made it so that way if you toss things into the sidebar, they kind of get pushed out. So that way you don't have to try and grab your machine out from over on top of the actual things. So there are some problems where, well, now that's doing okay. There were some problems where things were breaking just a little bit too easily. But it looks like we're doing kind of okay, actually. No, there it goes. The spring just broke. So what we want to do is we want to fix some of that. We got to fix some of these bugs. There's also, let me pull my list up. So this one's going to be really easy. We can do that one first. The buttons on the screen and all of the controls. So like that slider control right there. Even when I have something selected, it a lot of times disappears. And it disappears because we have some custom gestures that are stealing those touches from that view. Let's go these guys right here, right? So it's really, I think this guy in particular, the instant pan gesture, because he, if I remember right, oh sorry, I did the wrong thing. This guy. So the instant pan gesture, it saves the, it's just added to the view itself. This is where I'm trying to look. We have our gesture delegate somewhere. Man, now it's going to make me a liar. I thought we set delegates on these things. Did we not? Force gesture. No, not there. I thought we set it so that way it always there's like a should allow touch that we always set to yes, but apparently not. Maybe that's just something we need to add. I thought we had one. Maybe we used to and we took it out. But let's add one of those real quickly. So we're going to do delegate, right? And we'll do that for our grab gesture as well. Let's give ourselves the UI gesture delegate. And now this guy should be, there should be a should receive touch. This is the one that we want right there, right? because we need to tell it when we're touching a button to not allow that touch to go through to the gesture. Gesture recognizer delegate. So today we're going to submit to the App Store no matter what our quality is, no matter what features we have done, no matter how many bugs we have. But we're going to do that later tonight, because right now we're just going to fix a few things. Then I'm going to go to service, and then later tonight I'll probably have another stream where we'll actually finish 100% of the app. So if it's a control, then we return no. And I think what we'll also want to do is, or if the view is selected, what do we call it? If it's that window, right? These properties views, these pointer stick property views. There we go. So now we should be more consistent on our buttons and on those changing the properties. So here we go. We've got this guy. We can drag him out. Now this guy should be a lot easier. Yeah, we just broke the box. That's fine. There we go. And the other thing, yeah. So you notice I just broke that box pretty much immediately just by stretching that guy out. He detached and everything. Yay. Great. But yeah, now, yeah, that works a lot better. And this button, the play pause button, works a lot better. The save button works better. All these buttons work a lot better. Awesome. Cool. Cool. So we can call that one fixed, which is helpful. Code. So there's the code on screen. It should also be in the description if you want to check it out. That's 100% of the source code for what we've been doing. And we've done it all on stream. So 14 days times what, like an hour and a half stream each. So what's that, like 25 hours of work-ish? Am I doing that math right? So that's pretty good. I'd say we got a lot done in that amount of time. From buttons. Good deal. So that guy's up. Awesome. So now we can knock that guy off the list. Bam. Now this is the other one, the null velocity and don't break items during length radius property change. Okay, so what I would like to do is so let me restart this and I'll show you the box. If you notice, when I changed the length of that stick, of this stick right there, right? When I change the length of it, the entire outer shell of the box is going to break, which makes sense, because if this were actually all nailed together and magically that board, grew to twice its length, the box would not stay together. That's just a physical impossibility. But I want to be able to let the user experiment a little bit without, oh my gosh, I just broke everything. So right now, if I expand it even a little bit, like, it instantly breaks, right? Like that's not fun. I would much rather have it not break until they let go of the thing, and then maybe if it's too far, then it breaks. Because the other thing that I noticed is, let's trash it. Let's put this guy up, make him immovable. So if I stretch, is he do okay? Yeah, so he does okay, which is good. The spring, though, see, the spring instantly broke. I mean, that was bizarre. It broke, but now it's still there, which I don't understand. So something is weird. Something is weird, I think, with the spring in particular, with how we calculate its stress. So we need to fix that. And what I think the problem is we changed stress to be a method instead of being calculated inside of constrain. And since pistons and springs, since this guy extends stick and this guy extends stick, they're inheriting that stress method, but springs and pistons can both change length. And so this is a little bit different than what it should be, I believe. So springs, let's look and see how they calculate stress. Okay. So is that actually the same? No, it's times 10 there. And this is only times 2. So this guy can absorb a lot more stress than the stick can. So that's one of the reasons. So if we do this guy, right? And actually if we just do, since it's a comparison of 2 to 10, but everything else is the same, what we're going to do is we're going to do super stress divided by 5, right? Because this is a little more descriptive of what our spring can do. Is we're saying we can basically do 5 times as much stress as a stick can, right? So that's a little bit better. And then our piston, do we have our constraint, or is he just, I think he just works. So the piston might be okay. It might have just been a spring problem. Let's see if that helps us out a little bit. Make sure YouTube is happy. Yep, it looks like it's streaming. Okay. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? I feel like my mic is off, because I cannot hear myself. Hello? Yeah. Oh. There we go. I'm an idiot, and I had my video muted. Cool. Come on. There we go. Okay, great. So yeah, so let's try out the let's try out this guy. So now if we have an immovable, there we go. We have our piston. One thing that really broke it pretty quickly, it looked like, was attaching a spring to a piston. So what happens when we do that? Is it a little happier? We can turn on the I'm just holding the bottom of the spring. Yeah, that's pretty great. Cool. That feels better. I think that's what we want to happen. Because if I really stretch stuff, then yeah, that should break, right? Because I'm doing really terrible things. Cool. Come here. Oops. Attach. There we go. Cool. Yeah, I think that solved a lot of our problem. Can I load in any of these? These might not load because they're not, because the balloons are wrong. That's okay. I think that's great though. I think that's fun. Okay, cool. So that solved oh yeah, that solved some of these. We had calculated wrong, right? We really had another option there, and that's what we just finished. So the other thing is, now we don't want to break items while we're changing properties of stuff, which I think is a noble goal. So let's figure out how to do that. If we have our physics, let's go ahead and commit this before I forget. spring stress calculated correctly, or at least more correctly. Okay. Now then we have this guy, and we can turn off braking, and we do turn off braking sometimes in basically in the same way we do, yeah, if we have a selected stick or a selected point. So similar to what we do here, where we selectively render things if things are being changed or held. But I think also in our currently edited stick, we use this a couple places, don't we? Do we not? Do we have currently edited point, maybe? I thought we did this in one place. Maybe not, but that's okay. So in our properties view, oh, the other thing I noticed, actually, this will be an easy fix. If I tap this properties view, it disappears, and I don't want it to. I don't want it to do that at all. And I think it's doing that because it's hitting the blur view. No, it's not hitting this at all. Why would it not? Now I'm a little weirded out because this delegate's not getting called for anything. Yeah, tell me if that makes sense. Nope, no it doesn't. That's the answer, it does not make sense. Here we go. We enable it a couple times. It should have, oh, I'm not attached to the debugger. It's that kind of day. How are you guys doing? Yes, we are about to submit to the App Store. We have a few more bugs. Denver Cowboy asked in the chat if we're about to submit to the App Store. We are about to submit. We are so close. Super close to submitting. So now we hit that guy. We probably won't do it this stream. I'm probably going to do one more stream later this evening, but it is absolutely getting submitted to the store today. C Central Time. So the touches view is, what kind of view is that? That is just a regular old view. It's not very fun. So it's not that address. Those addresses don't match. And it's not that one either. So let's figure out how we build this properties view. I'm going to bet that it's talking to, I think we had a blur view. This guy. I bet it's hitting this guy. This is the view that it's doing. So let's go to UI view, hit test, super point event. If we're that, then return self. And that is really if it's we just want if it's not a control, right? So if it's a control, then return the control, otherwise return us, right? Return self, there we go. So what this is going to do is, instead of the touch hitting a subview, it's only going to hit the subview if the subview is a button or if it's a slider or whatever else. If it's not, then we're going to return ourselves. And that will make sure that that this guy is now either a control or it's one of those two things. Or it's something in our actual physics view. Okay, so let's fire that up and make sure I can now. No, see now what am I doing? Oh. That was foolish. because there's one other case, right? Here, if it's nil, right? Because if it's nil, then that means it didn't hit anything inside of this view, right? And return nil, right? So we do need to keep that case for sure. Otherwise, it's always going to return self, which means it thinks every touch ever is inside of that view. Come on now. Let's go here. What does this guy think is happening? It thinks it's the property view. Oh, because because there's two of these things. There's the point properties and the stick properties. And I need to fix it in both. There we go. Problem solved. Yep. Now it hits the physics view, which is what we want. Right? But now if I'm tapping, oops, sorry, let me get this on screen. So now I'm tapping the properties view. I can still change the slider because that's a control. I can tap on the properties view. It's pretty happy. And there. Great. Cool. I love it. I love it. Okay, cool. So now we can go to properties view. Taps don't close the property view. Okay, so that's good. That's a good little debug. Another nice thing that we want to do is move that default box, the very default, this guy right here. We want to move him because if you notice, it starts up in that top left corner, which would be fine, except then if you grab it, then suddenly you're behind the properties view, right? We don't want that. We want it to be, you know, out here, maybe in the center. And sidebar left, sidebar right, default objects. So now we need to move it further to the right. It feels like it's pretty far to the right. Oh, sorry, this is the sidebar. That's not what I want. That is correct. So where's our default box? Where do we build that? Anybody remember? Initialize data is probably in there. Yep, it is. Cool. So there's that. So now to move it further to the right, you can make it, what, 4 and 500? Let's make it like 3 and 400. Right? I think that'll show up okay. Yeah, that's better. Right? Now when you grab it initially, you're not immediately covered up by the properties window. Okay. If you haven't noticed, I commit a lot. I commit every time I'm stable. If I change something and it's stable, I commit. I've noticed other developers commit, you know, like once a day or once a week, where maybe they just squash all of their commits together into one gigantic commit. Maybe that's what they're doing. But yeah, sometimes I like having lots of commits, lots of safe little places to work. Okay, let's go. Now we wanted to, if the properties view was changing, point properties view. If these guys were changing their value, then we want, then we don't want things to break, right? So do we want things to break immediately after. See, I just touch it and it immediately breaks. Like there's just no forgiveness there at all. So let's save him as box. Save. Yeah, so if I just can't even, it's impossible for me to even touch that length and keep it alive. How do we want that? How do we want that to work? I think let's just do that. Let's just make it so that it allows breaks after you let go. Now let's just see how it feels. We're also going to real quickly refactor these into a properties view. I want to do that because there's a lot of shared code now between those two things. And I don't want to have to keep duplicating code because we're this close to the deadline and I know I'm going to hit it in one place and not the other, and I'd rather not. So let's go here. Let's get our init function. So this guy is going to have a title label, which is fine. We're not going to have the switches. We're not going to have the gravity slider or those lit things. And we are going to have our blur background, which feels pretty good. So now this guy is going to extend a properties view. And so is this guy. It's going to extend a properties view. There we go. And then the init function is going to have, we don't need our title label anymore. We don't need this border stuff anymore. We do need the controls, and we don't need the blur. Right? Love it. Let's do the same thing here. This guy doesn't need this stuff. We don't need the title. We do need controls, and we don't need the blur. Good. Very good job. Now we're also going to, we wanted that hit test method. This guy can go into here because that is the same in both places. We did that one. Did that one. Show object properties. Yeah, so these, yeah, that's all correct now. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is we have to give it a delegate, because the delegate is going to tell our physics view when editing is starting and stopping, and then that way when it starts and stops, our physics view can turn on and off braking, right? For lack of a better word. Property weak minus object of our delegate. Awesome. Cool. Okay. And our delegate is going to be did start editing properties and a did end editing properties. Right? So now we get this guy in our physics view. Oops. Let's go down here. We can add it here. Okay, awesome, and let's add our delegate here, so that way we know we extend it. And now our properties views, when we build them, we know that we are the delegate. Perfect. And I don't believe I synthesized it, so let's do that as well. Okay, cool. Cool. So now the next thing is to tie it into and to make sure that we actually begin edit. That we actually tell it when we're stop edit, when we're editing different things. And we can do that here with adding a target for UI control. What are our options? Event. Editing did begin and editing did end. Is that really a thing? Is it that easy? That'd be amazing. Start editing. What did we call it? Begin editing? Oh my gosh. Begin editing properties. That was just way too close to a like a stock API method that I want to be very explicit about what stuff does. Okay. And then stop editing properties, right? And then here we can do self delegate begin. Oops, did begin. I never remember the method names. Did start. Yeah. Okay. Did end. All right, that's fine. We have stop here and end, and we have begin and start. What a mess. Let's make this start editing properties. How about that? Start editing, great. And we'll make this did stop editing properties. Well, a little bit of consistency in the way things work, right? Start, and stop. Okay, let's make sure we get those log messages showing up the way we think we will. Okay, so now if I come here and I start changing, I do not get log messages. Why don't I get log messages, do we think? Properties view, do I get this guy? Nope, oh, that's point, I want stick. Well, probably because, well, even with the point, we don't get it, it seems. With the gravity slider, that's the one we were working on. View control editing did begin for start editing properties. So point properties should give us those methods. Nope. Let's see what this does. It does not do what I think it does. That is not the documentation I thought it was. All right, let's do touch up inside, and I think we can we bit mask these? Let's do that. Okay. So now we should get events when we begin the touch and when we end the touch. No, it's still, oh, sorry, point properties is the one that we're doing. Yeah, now we're triggering. Awesome. Cool. Cool, we got to start and stop. Awesome. So now let's do that up here as well for the movable switch for the other guy. Great. So on points, that's the only two things. That's the only two whatevers, fields. For sticks, we want, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're also going to do this here. So that way I don't have to do that in both classes. There we go. So now when I add this stuff to all of our fields on the stick properties, I don't actually have to, well, we only have length. That way I don't have to re-implement those delegate methods. All right, feel pretty good? Awesome. I like it. Anybody chatting? Cool? Nope. Okay, so let's go here. Length. We get a start and we get a stop. Awesome. So now we need to tie that into our physics view. We're going to have a Boolean is actively editing properties, right? So yes, we are. No, we're not. So now we have that Boolean set, and we can decide what to do here. We can actually only remove stressed objects if we're not actively editing. It's pretty good. Is there anything else we want to do? I think we do want to constrain everything. That's important. But we just don't want to remove stuff. This is the guy that removes it. Yeah. Cool. Cool. So now I think when we adjust the length of that box, I think it'll start spinning because it's freaking out. Yeah, it starts spinning a little bit. And then we let go. Yeah. Yeah, now it broke. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. Because now you can at least play with stuff without being worried about breaking something while you're editing. You know, you can at least break it on purpose, so to speak, when you lift your finger up. I think that's the right way to do it. Don't break items during properties edit. Right? Pretty good. All right, cool. All right, so that was a couple bugs fixed, which was nice. So we did that. Oh yeah, null the thing. So let's go to stick properties. If we change the length, do we need to null? So one of my guess here, the reason I said this, we need to null the velocity after the change of the length. And I said that because I was thinking that the spring breaking was because it changed length too fast, but it was really because of the stress method, using the stick stress instead of the spring stress. So I think we're okay. I don't know if we need to do that. Yeah, I think we don't need to do that actually. Which means now we just need to change the gravity of balloons, or the buoyancy, the floatiness, based on radius. And I think that would be cool. So that way the gravity modifier of the balloon is based on the... Are you an integer? Oh yeah, you are. Sorry, buddy. There you go. Integer value. Okay, cool. So to do that, set radius, we would do it here, right? So a small balloons wouldn't go up quite as quick as large balloons. But we are going to do that tonight. Int versus integer, right? Small little fix. Cool. because I'm going to head out. It's 4 o'clock. I got to go to Easter service this evening. But I'll be back on later tonight. We're gonna finish it up on stream. We're probably gonna make an icon for the app. We'll submit it to the App Store. We'll probably get some screenshots going. Do a little bit of testing to make sure we don't have like obvious, horrible, nasty bugs or anything. That it's at least fun and you can make cool little contraptions and stuff with it. So we will do that. Cool. Man, I love this. I think it's so cool. I don't know if I can actually select that spring anymore. Oh, yeah, there we go. Whee! Okay, cool. Anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out for a little bit. Like I said, we're going to do it again this evening, so stay alert. Follow me on Twitter. I will tweet out when I start streaming again tonight for the final stream of our 2-week open source live streamed app adventure. Thanks for hanging out, guys. And I will see you in a little bit. Bye.